Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rocker Dog Podcast, the show that talks to musicians about their dogs and the value these creatures bring to their lives. I'm your host, Tim Dill, dog dad to Charlie and shelter volunteer, and today we welcome to the show Tony Palermo, drummer for Papa Roach, who will be donating a portion of their royalties for their latest single, Leave a Light On, Talk Away the Dark, to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Tony and Papa Roach just capped off a busy 2023 of touring, and these are his stubborn and laser-focused rocker dogs.
All right, well, my rocker dogs are Luna and Jasper.
Okay.
Jasper's my Chocolate Lab, and Luna is our rescue, and she's a Border Collie Australian Shepherd mix.
Okay.
So she's got a lot of energy.
I was going to say, I learned a lot from this podcast, and that's one of the things is those Shepherd mix have, they need to be stimulated both mentally and physically.
Yeah, she leads the walks. I know that's probably wrong in dog training, but she's always like on the lookout for whatever.
And are they, how old are they? Is Luna 5 and Jasper 6? Is that
I think so.
right?
Yeah, we think she's about 5 or 6. Jasper's 6, and she's probably 6 as well.
And did you bring the two in at the same time, or what was the context of getting the two at the time that you got them?
Right. So we got Jasper from a breeder that we previously used. We had a chocolate lab named Lucy who passed after, I think she was 12. And then it was just so soon, though. And the breeder called and said, we have another puppy. And we're just like, oh, man. Okay. So we got Jasper, I think it was like October. And then the next year in January, we picked up Luna. We rescued her because the family had to move and they couldn't bring her with them. So, and they used to, we have some video and old pictures of them like sleeping together. Now they're just like, eh.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that. I was going to ask how, did they get along right off the bat?
Yeah, actually, when we first met Luna, it was basically we met on a main street of a town where we live close by, and she was super like aggressive and just barking, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. And my wife was like, well, we have to take her. They're moving, and so it didn't take long. They finally just kind of figured it out. I think she's happy where she lives now. So it's been 5 years, I think.
Okay.
So.
And you mentioned Lucy. Did you have Lucy and a dog named Jet together?
Yeah, actually we did. We had Lucy and Jet together. Again, Lucy was from a breeder and we rescued Jet. We try and do one of each. And it's so funny because the rescue dogs are always the ones that, like, if I'm playing like Frisbee or whatever, ball, they always bring it back. But the labs are like, nah, we're cool. It's just so funny. Like they aim to please.
Yeah, that's interesting. So just the two dog dynamic, is that something, I mean, you mentioned Luna as a rescue was, somebody was in a situation where they had to get rid of her. So were you guys, was that more of a spur of the moment thing? Like, let's help out. Here's an opportunity to help out. Or are you kind of a two dog family? Let's always have our dogs having a companion. So it's not always on us to entertain him.
Right. Well, I'm a simpler man. So I'm like, I'm cool with one dog. And my wife's always like, they need a buddy. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I think it was more that dynamic, just appeasing the wife and which is fine. I love them both. And having two is cool. But when she starts asking like, can we get another dog? I'm like, 3 dogs. I mean,
yeah, for
going
sure.
on trips, it's already like, they're already stuffed in the back and we're going to put the third dog, so.
Yeah. And what's your history with dogs? Did you grow up with dogs as a kid?
Yeah, I did. Actually, when I was super young, I guess my parents got a beagle, which was super jumpy and like I would always come in crying and and I was probably 3 or 4 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then progressively as I got older, we always had animals, cats, dogs. Now we have chickens, dogs and chickens. So yeah, we're kind of a multi-animal family.
Do the dogs and the chickens, do the dogs ignore the chickens? Are they fascinated by them?
They're fascinated. They're down there. I built a whole coop and a fence and so they can't get in there. But I think Luna would probably do some attacking. Maybe, I don't know. She has displayed some of that behavior behind the fence. Like, she's always like in her herding mode when she gets low and, so I think they would probably do some damage, but I don't think we should test that out.
I agree. And your wife seems to be the proponent of maybe filling the dogs with houses. Does she have a history with dogs? Did she grow up with dogs also?
Actually, no, she didn't. I don't think when she was young, her mom moved her and her siblings to France, and they actually lived in some chateau somewhere in the countryside, and they had crazy animals like a cheetah, and they had like a small farm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it was just the guy that she was dating at the time, whatever. So she kind of grew up with some wild animals, but she never really had a lot of pets until she got older. Then she had a dog, a Chow mix, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but then when she went to college and stuff and was working tons of jobs, she just didn't have the space or the time.
Yeah.
She did have a cat, but yeah, when we got together and bought a house, we were just like, let's get a dog. So, dogs are my favorite.
Yeah. And backing up, I guess we'll get into Jet and Lucy, but were Jet and Lucy kind of your first family dogs?
Yeah,
Or does it go a
yeah.
little
Lucy
bit
was our
before that?
first dog, and then we rescued Jet. Yeah, yeah, that was cool. That was our first house, first dog. So yeah, it was an experience.
Yeah. The practice before the child.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm under the impression that Jasper was a bit of a challenge as a puppy. It seemed
Oh,
like just by the comments, it seemed like he might have been nippy a bit and
he was
mouthy.
nippy. Yeah,
What
he
were the
was.
other challenges? Or tell me a little bit about raising Jasper.
Uh, Basically, that was that was the extent of it. Really, I mean, he was just so like just nipping on feet, shoes, hands. Man, he was worse in that aspect than our first lab, Lucy. She was. I mean, he was super playful, of course, but he just didn't know what to do with all of his pent up angst, I guess
Right.
you call it. And so yeah, I would have shoes that would have like little teeth marks in it. It's just like, man, I mean, those dogs, they have like so many toys. It's ridiculous. So they don't, he's older now. He's not like that. He's a little lazier and very food motivated, as I've heard that most labs are,
Yeah.
so
Earning the name
yeah.
Meatball, the
Yeah,
nickname
he's
Meatball.
yeah. My wife Devin called him that one time. And I was like, oh, that's good. Yeah. Just the meatball.
He was also described as stubborn. So which in
Yeah.
how so?
Well, if you're trying to call him, like we'll go out in the backyard and we have a pretty decent sized spread out there. And again, Luna, the rescue, she's always like attentive and like she'll come in and like, let's go, Jasper. And he'll just stand there and just stare at you. And you're like, come on, man. And he's just like, and then when you say treat or any kind of,
Right.
anything like that, he's like, oh, okay, I better go run up there because Luna's going to get all the treats if he doesn't make it, and it's comical.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that breed is a born comedian, and even
Yeah,
some of the pictures
yeah,
on your feed are just hysterical. Just his expression are crazy.
I love it. Yeah, he's super cool, man. I mean, when you're walking as well, it's like he's like a people dog. He's always like pulling you over to where somebody is, and like you don't have to say hi to everybody, and not everybody wants to say hi to you. And but yeah, he's very friendly and open, and just wants like the attention.
Yeah, he also earned the hashtag Big Baby at one point, and
Yeah,
specifically that was you said he was interested in birds right now, but would probably poop himself if one flew
yeah,
over.
yeah. He's been known to like he gets scared of like certain sounds. If somebody drops something or whatever, he's just like, what? And then outside, yeah, with birds, he would just be like, I think I want to play with that bird. And then no, man, if it flies anywhere near him, he just gets like he's very reactive, and
Right.
it's comical. Like again, yeah, like you said, he is just the biggest baby. And one thing that he does, we actually had to stop taking them to the water because we were taking them to lakes, and we learned this one time we were actually out swimming, and we have like his full life vest and stuff for him, and
Hmm.
he would come out, follow us, and then try and grab you all at the same time that he's like crying, like thinking we're in trouble. And he's trying to grab your suit or something to bring you in. And it became chaotic,
Yeah.
and Luna's over there trying to bite every wake that's coming in. So we're just like, what is going on here? We have some lunatic dogs. So we've had to kind of take a break from the water, but I'd like to reintroduce them because we live up in the hills in Northern California, and it's the area is just that it's so dog friendly, and I always see people out with their dogs. I'm like, "Ah." I mean, we could take them on trails and stuff, but yeah, the water was kind of a weird thing for him.
Yeah.
He just makes this like crazy like yelping noise, and you're like, where'd that come from?
I
So
was just going to say, it seems like they're very water-oriented dogs. I mean, I know
yeah.
the lab, and I'm not
Mhm.
even sure about the Border Collie.
Yeah, she's
Um,
iffy. She's like not sure.
yeah. Speaking of Luna, you described her as smart, alert, and hyper-focused.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit of that. Like, how does that show in her behavior?
Yeah, I mean, she's actually, you ask her to go grab a certain toy and she'll pick that toy out and bring it to you.
Uh,
And like I said, there's like 75 toys it seems like we have, and it's just, go grab your alien or go grab your whatever, and she just grabs it. And so yeah, that's the smartness,
is that something
like
you guys taught her? I mean, I know I've
um
heard of that exercise before where they can identify things.
yeah, I think we just, you just keep repetition,
Right.
for certain toys. That's not every toy, but there's she has her
She has a,
favorites.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's really fun to see. And then just super alert, like I said, when we're on walks, she's always like scanning and kind of making me focus too, because like I said, we live up in the hills, and there's known to be some bears around and mountain
Yeah.
lions, and you never know what's going to pop out and jump down from a tree or so. So I'm like constantly on alert with her as Jasper's walking around just with his tongue hanging out, like, "What's up?" Yeah, so it's really interesting to see, man. Just like I said with the rescues, it seems like I said, they'll bring the toy back every single time.
Right.
You call them, she's there. Jasper's a
That's
little slower, so
that's great. That's a great trait. Now, do you guys have to worry about any wildfires?
yeah, we are pretty much in the. I mean, especially the Caldor fire a couple years ago, that just went from really close to our area and made its way east to Tahoe, and just burned, I forget how many hundreds of thousands of acres. And it was along with the air quality alert every night, it was just you're wondering if you're going to get evacuated. And so it's a pretty big thing up there. We're in like the Sierra Nevadas. It's a bit scary. They're actually starting to not provide fire insurance for people now, because they're just like,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. So it's like, oh man, I mean, we're locked in, but it's kind of scary.
Yeah, you had a post. You must be referencing, I think maybe 2017, the big fire that came through,
Oh,
and you
maybe
had
what? Yeah,
a post that you were one that wild animals will be fleeing. So to bring
yeah,
in bring in your pets
yeah,
and
yeah.
to leave water out for the wild animals, which I thought was gracious. And my question to you was, did you experience any of that? Did you experience seeing any? Was there more animals than usual in
Um,
that week or 2 weeks?
well, we always have deer. Deer are always around, and somehow for a while we started getting deer in our yard, which they're hopping the fence, which is 6 to 8 feet high.
Mhm.
So,
Nothing for
um,
them.
yeah. So we learned quick when we moved up from LA. It was just like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. We're gonna have to watch, the pets for one. And we actually bought a range camera. Every once in a while my wife will send me footage, and it's just, we have foxes, we have raccoons, we have skunks, and they're just cruising through our yard at night. It's usually from 11 on. And yeah, it's pretty funny to watch. They're just kind of moseying around, and then they're out. It's just weird. But our neighbor at one point had a bear come, and the thing was pretty sizable, and they had a metal gate that enclosed their property.
Right.
And the footage is insane. The bear just basically ran up to the gate and realized it was locked or whatever, and it stood back and just shoved the gate open
Gosh.
and cruised through their property slowly. And it's just like, oh man, if I can do that to metal, I mean, we're just, we have wood gates. So yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, we get some activity up there, but we haven't really had anything too bad.
And are the dogs reactive to any of that? Will they bark if there's
Yeah.
something in the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
backyard?
Yeah.
And do the dogs provide, you're often on tour, you're on tour right now. Do they provide security for you knowing your wife and son are home alone? I mean, do they react to the doorbell ringing
Oh
or,
yeah.
whatever you have?
it doesn't even have to get to the doorbell. It's the same mail carrier. It's like, man, that's our guy, like he comes every single day. And but they're definitely reactive. But once you get in the house, if we have opened the door and we let you in, then I think they turn to like, okay, cool, this person's okay. But I don't know if that would be the case for somebody breaking in. I don't know. I
Right.
mean, but
Is
definitely
it
alert.
both dogs that react, or does the one
Yeah,
dog kind of react because the other dog reacts?
that's the case a lot. Also, we have tons of dogs in the neighborhood, and if they hear one dog down the street barking, they know somebody is walking, or so
Right.
they got to get in on it. And it's like my wife will just say hi, and then Luna, she's very vocal, so she'll start like making these crazy noises, and it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that she does that when how excited she is to go on a walk.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's almost like you can imagine like being able to speak to your dog and having them
Right.
talk back.
Right.
I love that moment in the morning where it's just like, you want to go for a walk? And she's just like, yeah, very vocal and super excited. And she does this little, she does a little dance. She sits back and does this like little dance, like she's excited. And I love that because I know how excited she gets.
Yeah. Do you get a hero's welcome when you come home from tour?
Oh man, it's crazy. My wife's always like, wait, just let me go in and then you sneak in. And I'm like, babe, they already know like we're here. And so yeah, Luna especially, she starts making like such an excited noise, like and yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I
Love
kind of
it.
have to greet them first and then and then my son.
Right.
So let me get this out of the way, buddy. It's awesome.
I also noticed you have some mementos. You have a painting of Luna, I think it was Luna and Jasper by Mark
Yeah.
DeSalvo.
Yeah.
Is that something you commissioned, or was that a gift,
I
a surprise gift, or?
yeah, I both. I commissioned that for my wife for Mother's Day. We also have bees. I forgot to mention we have bees.
Okay.
So I had Mark paint Jasper and Luna, and then I'm like, throw some bees, and then I took some pictures of some flowers that were growing in our yard. So he kind of incorporated all that stuff in there. So it made it a little more personal. We also have Jet and Lucy, my good friend Pat painted, and they have Devo hats on.
Right. That was kind of like
So
a tattoo art type of
yeah,
style, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So very cool. Yeah. I mean, I have some talented friends.
Yeah. Is there often when I come across, I scan through Instagram and just go down these foxholes. And whenever I see, an artist with a dog, I'm like, all right, we got to get him on the show.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I won't go back through the band and look through, but I'm curious, anybody else in Papa Roach a dog guy?
Oh yeah. Actually, we all have dogs.
Really?
Um, our singer Jacoby has two. They're like XL bully. They're huge. They're giant. And Jerry our guitar player has one. I think she's kind of a mix. And then
Hmm.
Tobin, our bass player, always he's like a German Shepherd. Him and his wife are German Shepherd fans. So
That's
I
great.
think she likes the security,
Oh
when
yeah,
he's gone.
I
And
bet.
yeah, actually we were quick story, we were super mad at Jerry's dog one year because right before we went on tour, he was walking her and he went to grab her collar because seemed like she was going to dart away. And so he grabbed her collar, but he only got like his two fingers, and
Right.
she went the other way and broke both of his fingers, like crazy spiral fracture.
Uh,
Like he's got pins in his fingers now, and he's obviously needing those fingers. So he couldn't come out to perform with us on a European tour. And that was just like I'm like, what are you gonna do? Get rid of the dog? Like what? We were so angry at the dog. And she's a really sweet dog now though. We just saw her actually last week. And but yeah, that was like frustrating, man. Like you're could have been a career ender, really. I mean,
that's crazy. That's crazy to hear. And I did stumble across that. Funny enough, I did. He was tagged on one of your posts
okay,
that
yeah.
had like and I've seen his dog, but the post had like it looked like a pity of some sort. But I
Yeah,
did go.
she's
I
like such a
did.
mix.
Okay, I did visit his feed, and I saw the X-rays,
Yeah.
and
Oh
I saw
yeah.
somebody did comment that alluded to the dog, but none of his posts spelled out the
Yeah.
story. So it's very interesting to hear that
Yeah,
that
it
the
was
dog
it
did
was
cause
scary,
that.
man. It literally happened like I think a week before we left.
Yeah, that's, oh my gosh.
So yeah,
Can't
he
imagine.
went under for surgery and just sitting there with his hand bandaged, and we were just like, oh my God, is he going to be able to play guitar anymore? Like, I can't
Who
imagine.
stepped in? Who on
So
such short notice?
yeah, we have actually Tobin, our bass player's brother, Anthony.
Okay.
He's the kind of our fifth guy on stage. Yeah,
Hmm.
he does keyboards, backup vocals, guitar, percussion. He's like the all-around guy, and he's known the guitar parts. He grew up, obviously listening to the band, and when he was younger, he was playing guitar to the records, and so he was the obvious
Yeah.
choice. Like, hey man, you're gonna just step up now. So he had to relearn like guitar parts that he wasn't playing, that
Yeah.
Jerry was playing. So yeah, he pulled it off, man. He's such a talented kid. It was cool, and it was just easier for us. Like, we didn't have to try people out or hire somebody that was we didn't know how they toured with you, and
Right.
that's a big thing. So
Now, have you done that as a drummer? Have you had to step in quickly for somebody? I feel like either 6 a.m. or maybe Good Charlotte at one point.
yeah, I did Good Charlotte. 6 a.m. I stepped in, but did like a bunch of touring. And then an older band I was in, Good Riddance, the drummer quit, and they were going on like a couple month tour. This is way back in like 1995.
Hmm.
So stepped in, yeah. The Good Charlotte thing was pretty funny. My friend Dean, who's an amazing drummer, he called and said, "Hey, I need somebody to fill in, and I was just thinking about you." And I was like, "Yeah, I love a challenge. I love drumming. It's just like,
Right.
I'm such a huge music fan, and I had never really got into Good Charlotte back in the day, but I started learning the songs, and he kept throwing me more songs, and I'm like, how many songs are we playing? Dude? He sent me like 16 songs. I was like, oh, so I just woodshedded for weeks. And I said, all right, great. So, when's rehearsal? And he goes, well, the thing is, the guys don't like to rehearse. And I'm like, what? And the first show was like this big radio festival.
Oh my
And I
God.
was like, oh man, okay, cool. Time to like tighten it up and be pro. So that was a crazy, crazy experience
I was
just
going to say
jumping out.
you said you like the challenge. That's exactly
Yeah.
the attitude you need because I think I'm breaking out in a sweat just thinking about it.
Oh my God. It was, yeah, we kind of went through the songs like right before the set that night with the guitar player and the bass player. That was it. It was just like, all right, here we go. So,
Yeah.
you get so focused, and for a good musician, you have to get to the point where things you're not thinking about things, and
Yeah.
it's just second nature. And that way when you jump on stage, because anything can happen, and a lot of times your mind gets diverted from the actual situation. Yeah, there's been some frightening moments on stage where you just freak out, like, what part is this? I forget if this is the second chorus or the first chorus. And so that's happened, but that doesn't happen too much anymore. You just sort of, like I said, it's best to get your stuff down so you're just not second guessing.
Yeah. Well, in my limited experience in my younger days, I found that and I played the drums also,
Oh, nice.
as long as the musicians in front of you don't turn
Yeah.
and look, then no one knows. Just keep
Yep.
going, keep acting natural. But it's
Yep.
always that turn. It's always a simultaneous tune when you've got,
Yeah.
two members of your band looking back at you and like, all right, now everybody knows.
Been there. Been there. But yeah, then also people say, if you do something that wasn't maybe right, do it again, make it seem right. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, make it
I
part of
try
the
not to do that, because half the time it's like I don't even know what just happened. Like my body just had a jerk reaction, and
All right. Well, I'll steer us back to the dog talk, and it's funny. I've
yeah,
been wanting to bring a little bit more music into the conversation, so this was a good break to do that. And
cool.
one last question I want to ask before I get into what I call the zoomies is I noticed there was a post where in 2019 it was a post-show party with puppies,
Oh
and it
yeah.
was via Furry Friends Rock and Rescue. So is that
Uh-huh.
part of something they put together that they were going to bring puppies to you guys just to hang out, just get the puppies socialized, or what was the context of that?
Yeah, it's just something, it happens occasionally, if somebody will set it up and like, hey, they're gonna bring some animals backstage after. And we've had monkeys, we've had lemurs.
Oh my gosh,
The other day
funny.
we had a couple goats, uh, and a chicken. And what else? Did they bring anything else? No, there's a couple goats and yeah. So it's just, I've always wanted like a tour dog. I think
Yeah.
sometimes we'll get some dog time in on the road, but it's never enough, man. I always say how cool it would be to have a tour dog, but also probably a lot of work and
Well, have a tour
responsibility,
dog and a
obviously.
tour dog handler. You know?
Yes, yes, a tour dog nanny. Yeah, I think it would be fun though.
All right. Well, like I said, I call the last 5 questions the zoomies because they're quick
Cool.
questions that we don't have to,
Okay.
spend too much time on. First question is, do you kiss Luna and Jasper on the mouth?
Nope. I kiss him on the head.
Okay.
I kiss him on the head. Yeah.
I'm always curious when those words leave my lips, what the reaction's going to be. But
Yeah.
it's
No
usually,
making out.
yeah.
No making out with dog tongue.
Okay. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Does either of your dogs have a theme song?
Not necessarily, but I do know that when my wife will turn on some music and she'll start dancing in the living room, that Jasper will come up and like jump up and they'll dance together. So that's pretty awesome.
Okay. Any particular song?
No, anything.
Okay.
Maybe
And
some
not
Lizzo.
okay. Question 3, you mentioned, how much it would be great to have a tour dog. If Jasper and Luna were your tour dogs, what would you include in the rider for them?
Probably some toys, obviously. I mean, they'd probably bring some toys. We bring some of their favorite ones, but that maybe, like you were saying, maybe a tour walker if I had to go do something
Right.
and they were just sitting around for too long. It's like, yeah, can you go take them on a walk? I don't know, something like
Okay.
that.
All right. That'll work. That'll work. And it's all, hypothetical, so we
Yeah,
don't
of
have to
course.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Question 4 is, do you have a dog voice? Do you speak to them in a certain tone?
Not really. It doesn't get too crazy like that. I'll just like Jasper, like going back to like the big baby thing, or just
Right.
I don't get like too crazy with like, oh my God, my poochie and all that stuff.
And you
But
don't give them a dog voice. You don't personify them with a voice at all.
no.
I can only imagine what Jasper's voice would be.
Oh man, I wish they could talk. It would be funny.
Okay, and question 5, is there a dog organization or a service that you'd like to give a shout out to? And that could be any of a rescue or a walker or a groomer, anything you want.
Yeah, I mean, not a particular rescue. I think they're all doing, their service, which is awesome. But we do I want to shout out to Katie and Amanda at Mountain Groomers. They do such an amazing job with the dogs. They actually love going there. It's like I bring them in and they're always like, get us back, take us to the back, and they're up in Pollock Pines, California. And yeah, Amanda and Katie, Mountain Groomers, they're amazing. We love them. Dogs, they come back smelling so good for like weeks. And I can't do the same thing. I try and shower them, clean them
I
as
know,
good as I can, and it lasts for like a few days. I'm like, how do you guys do that?
I know where you're coming from. I have the same experience with my dog, and I think it must be
Yeah,
an oil. It must be an oil
probably.
based, either shampoo or whatever it is. But it's
Yeah,
like, how I can't
it's
I
next
can't get
level.
it to I can't get it to smell good for 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, thank you for giving me your time. It's always a pleasure of mine to, meet you guys over Zoom and talk about your dog. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Anytime, man. I mean, we love dogs.
Good, good. Keep preaching the gospel for us.
Yeah. Oh, you'll keep seeing pictures too.
Good, good. We look forward to it. All right, best of luck on the tour. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
by
Thanks, man.
the time people hear this, I think you guys will be just coming off the tour. But
Okay.
good luck with everything, and
Yeah. Thank you.
hope to see you down the road.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Take care.